Oh hi, welcome to the space between my legs. Today we are talking about Final Fantasy XIV and this sentiment that the game is dying. I feel like the community is in the most negative state I've ever seen it in. I am a casual player of this game. I'm not a hardcore player. I feel like I am the majority when it comes to Final Fantasy XIV players because I'm in that middle ground. And I've been enjoying the game a lot until I saw loads of content from people saying it's dying. I was like, what? Why? So I had a look on the Steam charts and honestly, it didn't look like it was dying from the Steam charts. It looked quite normal and healthy. And I was thinking for a while, why are people just so negative right now? And it made me realize since the release of Endwalker, Final Fantasy XIV is not dying because it's failing. It's stagnating because it's just succeeded too well. So I get sorry, you don't have to be in my legs anymore. It's a bit weird. So Endwalker quite literally ended the main overarching Final Fantasy story and Dawn Trail brought in a brand new story. And I think rightfully so. I think the older story was getting a little bit boring and they needed to change things up. Many people felt like Dawn Trail was more like filler content rather than a rebirth in terms of storyline, and that's fair enough. I personally liked Dawn Trail. I got a lot of verbal abuse when I said that last time, but I don't care. It's my personal opinion, okay? I like Dawn Trail, but most people didn't. They felt like it was stale. With that being said, you could argue that Endwalker didn't save Final Fantasy XIV. It pretty much ended it. I think it changed players' perspectives on the game in an interesting way that maybe the developers didn't know was going to happen. For me personally, I think the game feels stagnant for other reasons. Because yes, the player count is still relatively high, but if people just go AFK in Limsa Lominsa, is that the same as people actually engaging in and playing with the game? If you and your Discord kitten are role-playing kissing each other in one of the base game worlds, are you really playing the game or are you just a basement dweller? Because what often happens is an expansion comes out and then there's a rapid drop-off almost immediately. I think this game fundamentally struggles to engage and retain players because what they do release, I think people genuinely like it. That's why there's such a huge spike whenever there's a brand new patch update that comes out, but then everybody does this new content pretty much instantly and then it drops back down again. A healthy MMO, in my personal opinion, doesn't have to constantly try and convince you to come back with patch updates and content like this, and it just feels like a bad gameplay loop in my opinion, because the roadmap for every new expansion to the game is the main scenario quest and the dungeon and the raid and the alliance raid, and then you do the relic rep and grind, and then that's pretty much it. The system is the same every single time. The problem with this system is that it doesn't really facilitate long-term playtime, resulting in not, I think, a player loss, but more so a player burnout, where hardcore players are logging in less because they've done everything. Casual players do everything as well. So it's not that the game is losing players, it's more so just losing the reason to pick up the game consistently. And I also think this plays into the modern video gaming landscape. You can have opinions about how it is, but fundamentally people have brain rot attention spans these days. People don't want to grind, and we're seeing a huge shift, I think, in the video gaming industry in general. It's like with the new game Fellowship that came out that I played. It's basically an MMO, but it's specifically designed to be short play content. Most people would rather just get their brain rot dopamine fix from a game like Genshin Impact or Overwatch or something for a few minutes and actually have to sit down and invest time in Final Fantasy and grind for something. Final Fantasy XIV's gameplay layout just feels so archaic. This long form linear content, and once it's done, it just doesn't work out. I think for a lot of people as well, Dawn Trail was a make or break moment with not just the story, but also the structure. Are they going to change how the game works a little bit and spice things up? But they just didn't do that. They kept with this same archaic layout and linear structure that the game follows. And really, I think Dawn Trail, it didn't need to be good. It just needed to feel different, and unfortunately it didn't. On a positive note, I think the game is still relatively stable. It's not dropping in a player count necessarily. It's obviously a profitable game for them. They're coming out on mobile, and I just read up on the Switch too, which is hilarious. But it just feels like Square Enix are being perhaps just a little bit too risk averse with this game. I feel like their safety is killing the momentum of the game in terms of just bringing in new players, and sure, they'll bring in new players with mobile, but I feel like that is different, okay? It's so different. point. I would also like to say, I think one thing that is definitely dying is the community. I definitely think the Final Fantasy XIV community is quite egocentric. Have you guys heard of the bean soup theory? It refers to how people on the internet just assume everything is made for them. The bean soup theory, okay, this is a genuine point and I want you to listen. The bean soup theory describes the online phenomenon where people comment on content not meant for them, demanding it to cater their specific preferences. For example, asking for a bean soup recipe without the beans. It highlights a perceived rise in self-centeredness and digital illiteracy. It points to a lack of empathy, difficulty understanding perspective outside one's own, and focusing on personalization over the original topic. And the reason why this is relevant to Final Fantasy XIV is the game is definitely very individual and unique to everyone. Evident by my unpopular opinions video, where you guys mass disliked my video and told me that I was objectively wrong for having subjective opinions about the game. And everybody has their own different opinion, but everybody feels like their opinion is right and everyone else is wrong. And I think this bean soup issue is a really big issue because it makes it really hard, I think, for the developers to receive genuine constructive feedback about the game. And I think it definitely forms a part of the struggle as to how they can keep the game more exciting, because everybody has their own interpretation of it. As a result, you often get people saying things like, just unsubscribe if you don't like it, just unsubscribe from the platform, don't play it anymore. It's like this shut up and be grateful attitude, and I just think the toxic positivity and toxic negativity doesn't help. Fundamentally, for the next expansion, I just want it to feel fun. I don't want to be babysat through a main scenario quest. I would like it to scale in difficulty. I would like dungeons not to be hallway simulators. I would like jobs to feel more exciting. And I just want it to feel more like an MMO again, not a seasonal thing that you go into every now and then. Because yes, the numbers in the game are fine and it's still popular, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not dead. I'm sure if you zap a corpse a few times, it will give off a heartbeat or two. Just because it's beating, okay? That doesn't mean it's alive. That was such an awful metaphor. I don't know where that came from. Fundamentally, Final Fantasy XIV, is it dead? No, but I do think it is complacent. With that being said, I have a question for you. Do you want this game to continue going on as it is, playing it safe with okay content that brings people in and drops them off and brings them in again every update? Or do you want them to risk it all and do something completely wild again? I mean, they tried that with Dawn Trail and it didn't work out very well. Would you like them to totally risk it again, or would you like them to just go back to the core of what it was? Let me know down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. Also, just wanted to add, this is a brand new channel for me, so if you guys have any specific requests on content that you'd like to see, please let me know. I don't actually really watch other Final Fantasy XIV creators myself, so I don't actually know what's trending in the community, but if you guys have any requests, then please let me know. Thanks.